Hi guys, welcome back. I hope you guys had a really fantastic Easter or Passover holiday. And it's time to get back to work. Today we're going to be working out of Colorful Dragons from Color It. And there's the book, and you can get this book on Amazon or colorit.com. This is their newest one. Okay, so I've made a copy actually. This is not the one from the book. This is a copy of it. And I've put this on 150 cardstock. The paper in the Color It book is fantastic. You don't have to do this, but I want to change it up and I want to keep the original also. So the best thing I could do is I've just made a copy of it, and I'm working on the 150 Giorgio Pacific paper, and it's a cardstock. The first thing I want to do is I want to change it up a little bit. I don't like the flame, and I don't like these lines in the candle. I also don't like these lines going on the side. This is a personal preference. Some people don't mind. This is just me. I want to be able to do my shading a little bit more natural, and having those lines there are just going to annoy me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get out a little bit of white out, and I'm going to just get rid of the lines. Now, you don't want to color over white out. It's not going to hold the wax very well, and you're going to end up with bumps and lumps all over the place. So I'm going to let the white out dry, and then I'm going to make a second copy. If you don't want to waste your good paper, you can do this on cheaper paper and then just copy it onto good paper. But I'm going to just get rid of all of this. I'll leave a little bit of the wick. And then I'm going to just get rid of it on the candle. And as I said, this is just a personal choice because I want to do my own shading. And it's definitely a choice that you can make when you have a line that you on a coloring book that you don't like. Now, I don't use Posca. Posca isn't opaque enough, and it's a waste of good Posca. I just used plain old whiteout. Okay, I don't love the candle dripping on here. I'm going to take it off because I want to do my own drippings that look a little bit more realistic. So I think I'm going to get rid of that. And just so that I could do my own. Okay, so I'm going to let that dry, and then I'm going to make a copy of it, and we'll be all set to go. Okay, so I'm happy with the picture now. I've got it on my cardstock, and I'm going to redraw the candle. And instead of having a wide base and an unnatural look, I'm going to give it a little bit more of a natural look, and I'm going to thin it out. Now, I don't want the gray lines on the side. You can use a pencil to outline it, but for now, I just want it like this. So I hope you could see that. And I'm using the colored pencil. Then I'm going to use something else. And this is by Brush and Pencil. And it's a colored pencil blending powder. And I've really fallen in love with this stuff. This is not the recommended paper for it, but I found that it works. So I won't explain it. I don't know why, but it just works on this paper. Okay, I'm going to open up the blender powder. Now it comes in like a sifter. This is hard and it has like some holes. So if you shake it a little bit and tap it, you see the powder starts to rise up and get stuck on the outside. I'm going to take some of the powder. I will leave the link for this stuff in the description. I am not a sponsor for this, and that's what I discovered this by watching YouTube videos, and I just wanted to try it. I'm going to put some powder down on the paper. Just like that. Then I'm going to take my cream pencil. You want to make sure the tip of your pencil is very clean. Mine is now. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw or color over the powder. And I'm going to get a layer of the cream. I'm coloring over those yellow lines, sort of blending them in. Now you must keep your yellows clean. I've got my brush. I'm going to take a little bit more powder, and I'm going to make sort of like a powder sandwich with the, and I'm going to blend it. I want this very fuzzy, very smooth. Okay. Then I'm going to take, and I'm going to draw sort of like a triangular shape where that wick used to be. Fill it in. Now I'm drawing straight over the powder. Then I'm going to add in another layer of cream so that that gets blended really, really super well. And I'm going to get another layer. All working on this powder. I'm going to take, there's enough on here. I'm going to take the powder and I'm going to blend it. My strokes are going upwards because that's the way the flame is. Then I'm going to get out some dark brown, and around the bottom working away and around and up. Just a little bit. And then down. Now, I don't want to put too much dark. I want to work my way up with the darker colors. Now, there's plenty of powder. I'm going to add just a tiny bit more. And I'm going to work my way up with it. The powder is best done in small layers. Then I'm going to give it another couple of layers. I'm just building and building. I'm back with the same yellow, working that triangle in the center. And the brown. Okay, now what I want to do is I'm going to put a very tiny bit, and I mean tiny, just going in the center. You can barely see it through that white, but it's there. You can kind of see it. And I'm going to take my blender, a little bit of powder, just get it right in my hand, and I'm going to go up with the powder. So I'm sort of like tinting the middle of that flame. Okay, now I'm going to use some orange, and I'm going to use my Arteza pencils, and this is my orange pencil. And I'm going to give it a little bit of orange over where the wick is. Very light layers. You want this really blended out well, so you're not doing anything heavy. I'm going to just give it a little bit on the edge to give it a hint of color. Sort of defining the flame. Very light. And maybe a little bit more. Okay, I'm going to go back to my brown. Get another layer going. Redo that middle. Very light. And you can see some of the pigment in the powder. As it blends it. Bringing a little bit of the powder back over, because I'm going to give it a slight glow. I'm using my Arteza, no, I'm going to use Sunburst Yellow by Prismacolor. And I'm just going to give the outside a little bit of a glow. Blend that out a little bit more. And then I'm going to take off the powder. Okay, now I'm going to get out a black. And it should be somewhere on my desk. Okay, I have a sharp black. Not too much. I'm going to go into the wick and just darken that up and give a tiny bit over the brown. And this won't blend it out that much because I don't have powder underneath, but it'll just give it enough to give a little bit of a hue going on it. Now that's as far as I'm going to take that for now. I'm going to start working on a mirror image of this. So for that, I'm going to get out my pencil. Okay, I'm going to get out my mechanical pencil, and this is a hard graphite, and I'm going to just draw in a mirror image flame. And I'm going to lighten it up once I like the shape. so that you could barely see it. I think I'm going to take this down a little bit. It's a little bit wide, but okay. And I'm going to repeat the process over here. Now for the candle, I'm going to use pewter from Arteza. And I'm just going to sort of mimic what the top of that is. Then down here, now imagine I'm going to be doing a very dark background. So down here is going to be darker, and I'm going to take the pewter and I'm going to just give it a little bit of shade. Okay, now I want to put in my own drips. So with the shaded pencil, I'm going to just draw in my own. Not too many. And I'm going to give it a shaded look on the bottom, so that when I do put in the cream, it's going to just give it a little bit of a shadow. I don't want it dripping down the side. Over here it was okay. I can add in a little bit over here, but those other lines are just too heavy. Okay, I'm going to use the cream on the candle as the candle wax, and it's going to blend in with the pewter and the gray. And I remember I told you to be careful when doing that, but I kind of want that color because it's going to be in the dark. And I'm kind of trying to go more in between the lines on it and not directly over, although I will be going over it. But everything is done so lightly. I'm going to leave the top of these candles very light. Then I'm going to add in a little bit of orange, going right here, because when you turn into the dark, just a little bit. When you turn off the lights, this part kind of glows orange if you look at a candle, because you're able to see through the wax. So that's why I'm going to leave it light. Okay, I'm going to add a little bit of, I'm going to add in dark chocolate into the background. I've added a little bit of blending powder there. And I'm just going to do a light layer, and I'm building up the color. I don't want to start with black. It's too dark. Even though this is a reflection of a dark room, dark is not void of light. It's just dark. So it would have some color. Get a nice smooth area going. This almost turns the pencil into like a pastel. It's kind of what it feels like, but it's more fun. I'm continuing to work over that powder. I'm going to call the powder fairy dust. No idea what it's in. What's in it? It doesn't say. It says it's non-toxic, and that's always good. Now those lines are, of course, the powder, and it will move away when I take the powder off. All you have to do is knock the powder off. And this really makes it go by fast. Normally I've been working on this a very long time, and you can see that layer is really quick. And if you've ever worked with Arteza pencils, you know they're very bright, but they aren't great blenders. They go on more like polychromos. Okay. Now I'm going to do a layer of pewter, or charcoal actually. Let's see about how the charcoal works out. Now that I have a nice smooth bottom, I'm going to take my dark chocolate again, and I'm going to do another layer without the powder. Without the powder, it's going to definitely become much darker. But because it has like sort of a layer of the powder on it, it's going to stay pretty smooth. Now, since this is a large open area, I want to work very slowly on it so that I get a consistent color. And I'm also going to have color gradients on it, as you're going to see soon. It's not going to be a mirror full of just the black. So let me work on this for a little while. It's going to take me about a good half hour for me to get this layer on. I'm also going to put on a little bit of the charcoal. I didn't want to get too far ahead, so let me catch you guys up on what I did. I used the brown, dark brown, and okay, here it is. I used the dark brown all on the inside. I put a layer of gray or pewter, a layer of brown, and then I started going off on it with the black. I did use a powder blender. As the background gets darker, of course things that are lighter are going to look brighter. So now you can kind of see the candle flame is looking much better. And I haven't even worked on it. Now, in this area here, which is brown, I'm going to put a layer of red, and you can use crimson if you're using Arteza. And I just want to put a layer of red just to give it a little bit more of a richness. Just one thin layer, you can kind of see it. And this would be the glow. Because you don't really want to make the whole background black. You want to assume it's the darkness. And the candle is reflecting from the mirror. So it's not black. It's just... You just have to assume you know the colors. And you could experiment. Some people like to put a little bit more orange. Actually, I see that too. I'm going to put a little bit more orange in it. Some people may want to use a little bit of yellow. as the glow, which is perfectly fine. You can put a little bit of yellow. Now, I'm not going to do too much with colors yet on this background. I'm going to do something else to it. Okay? And I have another product here by the same company, brush and pencil. And this is a texture fixative. I'm going to give this area in here a little spray of this fixative, let it dry for a couple of hours, and then go over it again. What this does is seal in the colors. Once I put the texture fixative on this, I'm going to create the paper all over again. I'm going to be able to draw on this paper. Now, this paper is pretty saturated with color. I could still get more layers on it. It'll still take more, but I don't want to change what I've already got. This will prevent me from changing what I have. So what it's doing is it's fixing the pencil to the paper, and it's adding another layer of clear. This is archival, non-yellowing, non-toxic, UV resistant, and fast drying. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to wait a couple of hours to let it completely dry, and then we're going to continue giving this a realistic look. Now, as you can see, let me see if I have we went from this, which that dragon was nice, to this. And this is what you can do in your coloring books: a non-realistic flame to a much more realistic candle flame, getting rid of the lines. So let me go do this and then we'll continue. So this is sealed onto this picture now. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my cream again and I'm going to just clean it up. And I should be getting lots of good layers on top. And this will brighten it up. Okay, then I'm going to take a little bit of white in there. Not much, but just a little bit. And what I can do is add a little bit of orange. And I'm using the orange Arteza pencil. And I'm going to just put a slight, ever so slight glow on the edge. So you could barely see it, but you know it's there. Okay, and then you can even add a little bit of red. Well, this is the crimson to it, going around. Anywhere you're touching the yellow, you want to go really, really white. Anywhere you're touching the yellow or the cream, you want to go really, really super light. Now, underneath the candle flame, it's always darker under here because it lifts off the flame is actually lifting off the wick and not the candle. So it's burning from up here. So there's always a little bit of something. And then the Arteza pencils don't really trigger my electric sharpener, so I'm using the Color It sharpener. I always get a super fine point. Look at that needle. And it came with my Color It pencils, and I'm sure they sell it separately on their website, colorit.com, but I really like it. The trick with this is always keep the inside clean, and when you sharpen, you twist the pencil. Okay, you twist the sharpener, not the pencil. I learned that trick when I first got these pencils, and I kept breaking my pencil point, and I got frustrated. And then I learned afterwards that if you do it that way, they don't break, and they don't. So I'm going to just sharpen up the edge a bit more, darken it up. The spray adhesive, it does leave a teeny tiny white little bit of a haze on the picture that colors over perfectly, like tiny light layer of pencil, and it's gone. And I'm going to get in here as the candle burns away from the wick and just keep cleaning it up. It's looking pretty realistic. Now I'm going to just get out my red one more time and just go over it. I'm going to use the Scarlet Lake from my Prismacolors because I don't want any pencil marks. So I want a little bit more blendable pencil than. And the last part of this candle glow that I'm going to do is I'm going to use a teeny tiny bit of yellow right coming off the top. These things should not be obvious. You should be coloring so lightly that you're just getting tiny bit of hue or blur coming off of it. Now that looks like fire. And this is where I'm going to keep it until I work on the rest of it. A lot of work for a little bit of fire, but if you take a look at what it was, with a little extra effort, here's the original. Doesn't look very realistic. And there's the result. So I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions or comments, put it in the description box below. You know I'm always available for you. My email address is in the description box below. I hope you guys have a great coloring day, and I will see you guys in my next video. Take care.